Welcome back to another episode of The Quest for Self. I'm your host, Allie. What is it about change that scares us so much? Is it the fear that we don't deserve better? Is it the belief that what's waiting on the other side could somehow be worse than what we already have? And why is it that so many of us choose to stay stuck? Stuck in jobs we've outgrown, relationships that no longer feel safe or fulfilling, routines that keep us small. Lately, I've been sitting with these questions, mostly because I have girlfriends, women I love and admire, who are in situations they desperately want to get out of, but they don't. They stay, not because it's working, but because it's familiar, because change feels terrifying. They're scared to apply for the job. They're scared to leave the relationship. They're scared to open the door to freedom, to self-growth, to the unknown, to possibility. And as someone who has spent years doing the work, unlearning patterns, figuring out who I am and who I don't want to be, it honestly breaks my heart to see people I love choosing comfort over growth. But I also get it. Change, well, it asks us to face ourselves. And sometimes that's the hardest part. So in this episode, we're diving into that fear, the fear of change, where it comes from, why it keeps us stuck, and how we can start to move through it, even if it's just one step at a time. What is it about change that creates fear? Honestly, we're scared as human beings of the unknown. We're scared of situations we're not familiar with, whether it generates anxiety or discomfort. We're not used to sitting with those feelings. Maybe it's the fear of failure. What if this new thing doesn't work out? The fear of success? What if it does work out, but brings on more pressure and responsibility? Maybe it's the fear of discomfort or emotional pain, or the fear of losing control because we're used to knowing what comes next. Or maybe it's the fear of not being good enough, that imposter syndrome. A few years ago, I was hired as a project manager. Even though I'd done similar tasks before, I had never actually held that title. And when I got it, I was so happy, but also so scared. What if I failed? What if I couldn't live up to what they believed I could do? I started doubting myself. Hard. But eventually, I began to see the impact of my contributions. And I slowly started replacing the thought of, I'm not good enough, with, I was hired for a reason. I bring value. I am capable. Fast forward to now, nearly 3 years later, I've flourished. And it's not luck. It's because I believe in what I bring to the table. Fear shows up in real life all the time. Whether it's applying for a job, going to the gym, or stepping into a new role. But if we don't challenge that fear, we stay small. So let's talk about the psychology of staying stuck. Let's talk about comfort zones. Honestly, I think comfort zones are awful. I really do. Sure, they feel safe, but often we stay in them way too long after we've outgrown them. I can speak to this personally. I was in an 8-year relationship, and the last 3 years, I was deeply unhappy. But I didn't leave. Why? Because it was what I knew. Because even though it wasn't working, it felt predictable. And that gave me a false sense of security. The truth is, our brains are wired for predictability. We find comfort in habits and routines, even ones that hurt us. And when change disrupts that, it can trigger our fight, flight, or freeze response. But you know what helps? Micro shifts. Switching up your routine, trying new things, even taking a different route to work. It helps you slowly rewire your brain to not fear change so deeply. Our nervous system is constantly scanning for cues of safety and danger, a process rooted in the brain's survival circuits. When we perceive threat, whether physical, emotional, or social, our body activates a fear response, often triggering fight, flight, or freeze reactions. This protective mechanism keeps us from getting stuck in situations that could potentially harm us, but it can also make us overly cautious or anxious in safe circumstances. The good news? Well, our nervous system is highly adaptable. Through practices like mindful awareness, intentional breathing, and gradual exposure to discomfort, we can rewire our nervous system to feel safe even in moments that used to trigger fear. As trauma expert Peter Levine puts it, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. Just recently, I was offered a new role at work. And again, I panicked because it was new, a whole new line of business I haven't been exposed to. And I was scared, scared I couldn't meet expectations, that I wasn't ready. A year before, I turned down a promotion because I didn't feel ready to manage teams. I'm not saying I regret that because it led me here, but I knew I didn't want to let fear dictate my decisions again. After lots of reflection, I took the job. Just signed the offer letter a few days ago, and I haven't officially started, but this time I'm trusting myself. What helped? Telling myself the same thing I tell my friends. If someone else sees the potential in you, why don't you? I've really started celebrating my wins, no matter how small. I stopped downplaying my achievements. The shift? Game changing. When we fear change, we self sabotage. We procrastinate. We distract ourselves. We stay busy. We make excuses. Now? Well, it's not the right time. We overthink every option until we freeze. We stay in relationships that aren't right. We stay in jobs that suck the life out of us. We tell ourselves, we'll post that picture when we lose the weight. I've had friends say, I don't want to leave this relationship because I'm scared I won't find someone better. Or, what if I'm even more miserable in a new job? But you know what's behind all of that? Fear. So, what do we miss out on when we resist change? We miss out on growth. We miss out on joy, on alignment, peace, new love, self-trust. The fear of change is really a fear of self because we don't realize how capable we are. I want to invite you to reflect. What's something you're holding on to just because it's familiar? And what might open up for you if you let go of that fear. Let's talk about some tools to start embracing change instead of fearing it. Here are some tools that have helped me, and I hope they help you too. Start small. Micro shifts matter. 2, journal. Name the fear. Write it down. 3, breath work. Deep breaths regulate the nervous system. Movement. Walk, stretch, go to the gym. Visualization. Picture the life that's on the other side of change. Not the negative things, but all the positive things that could come. Support. Talk to friends. Go to therapy. Get a mentor. Tiny habits. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Meditate for 1 minute, then 2. Replace doom scrolling with something nourishing. It's the small, consistent things that lead to transformation. So let's wrap this up. I want to leave you with this. Change, well, it's scary. But staying stuck, that's harder, especially in the long run. You don't want to look back and realize you missed out on a better life just because you were scared. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. You just have to start. You're worthy of the life that's waiting for you. You're worthy of freedom. You're worthy of peace, of alignment, of the love and joy that's possible on the other side of fear. Don't forget that, because every step you take, even the tiniest one, is leading you to a better version of yourself. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Quest for Self. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. It would mean the world. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, The Quest for Self.